Hello, hello, hello. I hope you're having a wonderful July 3rd. Um, there are fireworks all around us tonight, and so I'm absolutely certain that you will hear some of that if you're tuning in. And happy to have the freedom here in the States. So, tonight's stream, whether you're watching live or whether you are watching in the future, going to talk about Batman, Batman Universe, some of my favorite 70s and 80s, like single issue stories or single issue story arcs, and not so much graphic novels this time. And a lot of these books are, or at least a couple of these books are very old. And one that I'm going to start out with, you will actually see how old it is, at least as far as my collection goes, because it does not have a cover on it anymore. Actually, the cover I use on it is a Detective Pikachu uh, poster. So that's its cover right now. The back page is trying to fall off. It's hanging on by a shred there. Actually traded a friend, I think some issues in middle school or high school for it. And this is what is left of it. This is, as you can see, my wonderful penmanship from, I believe, middle school. Batman Greatest Stories Ever Told is what this book is. I'm on the hunt for a newer version of this so I can put this away. This is the version that I have at the moment and have had for, I don't know, 30, over 30 years. So this came out, I want to say, around the time the first Tim Burton movie came out. Uh, it was Batmania, but they were also, celebrating 50 years, I believe, of Batman at that point. So it has a lot of. I'm going to try to find my spot in this video really quick, and then maybe I can be a little more fluid, but not promising anything. So they were. This collected, of course, early stories with. This is Julie Madison. You might remember this character from the movie. She was in Batman and Robin. I think Elle Macpherson played her. This is the Monk. I would like to see him make some waves, at least in the McFarlane Toys line. That would be neat. But a lot of these pages have just seen some problems. Batman was a lot in the early days. Vampire, hunter, monster killer. Went after a lot of mad scientists, things of that nature. Uh, you know, obviously big giants. It's always fighting that kind of thing. It was he was a creature of the night fighting and eliminating creatures of the night. I always loved anything that had the Joker and the Penguin in it when I first got into Batman. I was all about that. What's going on with the Joker and the Penguin? But the main thing I want to get to in this video, and I just thought it'd be neat to just have a look through a couple of these early pages of this book, or this book that's traveled with me everywhere I've lived in my life. But what I want to get to here is page 264, because I want to talk about starting out in this, I want to talk about some of my favorite books from the 70s. So on 264, we are going to have part of the run that featured. Yeah, look there. That page is later or early, but still hung on to that page as well. It's one of these pages for sure. but part of the Steve Englehart Marshall Rogers run, which when people look back on it, they think it's longer than it is, but it wasn't. So in this part, this is one of my favorite issues. This is the Deadshot Ricochet. So they brought Deadshot back from basically 50s obscurity. Robin's come to visit Batman in the night, or in the Batcave. He's off being a college student. He's joined the Teen Titans, so he doesn't see Batman as often. But they're having a little visit. He gets called away by Wonder Girl. And Harlequin, who is a good guy, not Harley Quinn, she won't be created for a few years. But here's Deadshot in prison. Penguin was put away an issue prior to this. Penguin has a way to escape prison, but Deadshot steals it from him, gets it a fancy new costume. Rupert Thorne's basically the boss of Gotham City at this time. He's had Hugo Strange killed, and Hugo Strange is haunting him, and that's all part of this Steve Englehart, Marshall Rogers Batman soap opera, that just an incredible part of 70s Batman. So Batman is dating Silver St. Cloud at this time. She has her suspicions about Bruce Wayne. There's a lot going on. She's studying him, his Bruce Wayne persona, his jawline. She's really trying to figure him out. Deadshot's after him. They're right in the main story. They're teasing, your next villain. A lot of fun stuff happening here. And then she thinks she's figured something out here. And of course, they give each other a look. And then next issue, you better come back. You better listen up. But that's a favorite of mine in this one, of a lot of favorites. But this one's all over the place. Autobiography of Bruce Wayne. I believe that's an 80s issue. I'm not 100%. It's fun, but I don't want to say far-fetched. A lot of Batman is far-fetched, but it's kind of crazy. So at that time, that same year, they also released, because the Joker was in the 89 film, and it was at least close enough to his 50th anniversary, also the Joker's 50th birthday around then. So in this one, I want to go to page 165 for one of my absolute favorite Batman stories, the Joker's Five-Way Revenge. This was written by Denny O'Neil and art by Neil Adams. This is, if you've never read this Batman story, this one will tell you just everything you need to know about both characters. Joker has escaped from prison. He's killed one of his ex-gang members. And so Batman decides it's time to warn all of the old ex-Joker gang that Joker's out and he's probably coming for them. Well, none of them want to believe Batman. Let's just say spoiler alert for the rest of this video. But basically none of them want to believe Batman, and instead they just want to punch him up or kill him or whatever. And Batman still tries to be the good guy and say, "No, listen up. He's coming for you. I get you to a safe house. I can, whatever it is to get you away from this guy, because you can't win with the Joker." Anyway, so this guy right here, he tries to come after him in the boxing ring. He goes to take a drink of water. Well, guess what? The water's got poison with the nerve gas, and he's dead. Joker gives this guy a laughing cigar, and it blows him up. Or exploding cigar, blows him up. This guy right here, this guy's a total idiot. Batman tries to help him. He takes him on a chase. he knocks Batman out. By the time he can come to, Joker's got him too. I mean, it's just great. I mean, the look of this issue, um, the lighting, the way the lighting is drawn, the way the Joker just seems to power over Batman, uh, and because of the way these idiots make way. Look at this frame right here. Um, this frame right here, when he's like looking, he's trying to get his stuff together. He's trying to get his toothbrush together and whatnot, and then he opens the cabinet door to reveal behind him that the Joker's just sitting there waiting for him in the light. It's so menacing. I can remember just as a child just seeing that and going, "Oh my gosh, it's just so incredible." But I like the use of these photographs, these old photographs behind Batman, the sense of scale, or um, it's just a nice trick of art that they use in that. Uh, but this last guy, he's crippled. He's a really old ex-gang member. Something's happened. He throws him into the shark tank. So Batman, in chains, has to go save this handicapped guy from a shark. It's just incredible. I mean, there's no limit to what Batman can find within himself to save another human. No limit to what he will give of himself. It's just that's why he's our hero, right? You've probably seen this. If you've never even read this issue, you've probably seen this image before. It's been used so many times. It's just an incredible Neil Adams shot. But yeah, that's one of my favorites. Joker's Five-Way Revenge. Another in here is on page 243. Let's see. And this book right here is just full of great stories. Some a little silly, and some just fantastic. So let's see. I might have went to 226 is where I wanted to go to first. Let's see. So 226, The Laughing Fish. If you're a fan of the animated series, anything like that, you're aware of the Laughing Fish animated episode. But that, of course, was based on this Englehart Rogers issue right here. Now this follows that same storyline where we have Silver St. Cloud, we have Rupert Thorne, the Hugo Strange, a ghost. So this follows that issue from the other book. So Silver St. Cloud is possibly figured out the identity of Batman, right? And he wants to come confront her about it, but he's not really sure what to say. Not really sure if she does know or not, but she knows. So the game is on. Meanwhile, the Joker's in town. Turned all the fish into Joker fish. Look at this Joker right here. Just menacing. Rupert Thorne's trying to figure out his situation. He's pretty sure he just needs to get out of town. He's got the Joker to deal with. Hugo Strange's ghost is scaring him to death. So he's trying to get out of town, and now he's picked up Silver St. Cloud, who also wants to get out of town. So it continues in Sign of the Joker. Another great issue where the Joker's up to his old tricks of warning people what's going to happen, and then there's nothing they can do to stop him. They have a little conversation in the car about what Batman's doing for Gotham, if he's doing a good thing or not, whatever. And he kicks her out of the car. She's pro-Batman. But then the ghost of Hugo Strange seemingly chokes Rupert Thorne. Anyway, Batman and Joker get into a fight in a thunderstorm, and the Joker possibly dies and falls into the river. I don't think it keeps. They confront each other, decide they can't be together because he's Batman and well, she's Silver St. Cloud. So it goes on. But anyway, great, great story. And then let's see, no, I want to save that one for the 80s conversation. Those are killer stories there. Steve Englehart, Marsha Rogers, great team. And another great team, which I mentioned in the Five-Way Revenge, was Neal Adams and Denny O'Neil. Those are the two greatest teams of the 70s. I don't think anybody's going to argue with me on that. And that's not an original idea by me, but that is just a truth. For Batman in the 70s, those are your two of your greatest teams. And with Denny O'Neil and Neal Adams, that is even further proof in their creation of Talia and Ra's al Ghul, with some of these stories like Daughter of the Demon here. One thing that was odd for me when I saw these later reprints on this glossy paper, I missed the newspaper print. Neal Adams' art is fantastic, obviously, but it just has a different look to it on glossy print, and it's hard for me to reconcile my feelings on that. I prefer it on the newspaper print. Like that Five-Way Revenge, it seems to have I don't know, a darker tone, something about it. May just be the colorist, I don't know, but a recoloring happened. I'm not sure. Anyway, in these stories, Ra's al Ghul pretends, and this is something else that was adapted into the animated series. If you're a fan of that, Ra's al Ghul pretends, comes to Batman and says that Robin and Talia have both been kidnapped. Batman's never met Ra's al Ghul before at this point, but they need to work together to find them. But in the end, Batman figures out that Ra's al Ghul is who has done the kidnapping. And some people don't know this, but Batman met Talia several issues before meeting Ra's al Ghul, so he already was aware of her, and she already had a bit of a crush on him, as you can see here. But fantastic story. And there was now what happened here. You would expect, the way I remember it, you would expect that they would do this issue, and the very next issue would be what happened after this. But I'm pretty sure how it happened was the next issue. Was it Detective? No, but the next issue of Batman that came out was just a completely different story, and Batman was in Gotham, and no further info about it. But here he is in the Himalayas, and it's like, okay, well, what happened next, Batman? Well, you'll find out in 6 months or whatever, where this continues again with this dude here in the karate outfit. However, this is not a top tier story with this lady. I feel bad that I can't recall some of these names. The lady on the jet ski and everything. So much of this is just them riding jet skis and whatever. But in the end, the Lazarus Pit is introduced, which is the biggest part of that story that's important because that's such a big deal of Ra's al Ghul and Batman lore is the Lazarus Pit, where no matter how many times Ra's al Ghul has passed away, he can come back through the Lazarus Pit, and eventually that led to Batman issue 244 here in the 70s. The Demon Lives Again. Fantastic cover, of course. You've probably seen this cover before. All these hairy chests everywhere, and that's where he comes back. He's chasing after him here in the snow, just crazed from the pit. Batman is like, what is going on here? I've got to fight this guy. Lady, of course, takes off in the skis for just whatever's happening. Um, she seems like a Charlie's Angel to me. I don't know. But then they're going to be in the desert because you have to have this scene, right? And I don't know how many times this is played out in other books with Ra's al Ghul. It seems like every other artist must have their take on Batman and Ra's al Ghul without their shirts on with these swords. They must do their take on it. And this was the original. This was the first time it happened. And it's not that many panels. You know, it's just a few. But every artist must do their take on it. So you got to get them in the desert. You got to get them battling with the swords with no shirts on. But that was the original. That's a big panel. See that a lot. But anyway, that was Neil Adams, Denny O'Neil. And that's collected in this, which a lot of these Batman Arkham books, you still can get your hands on these trades. And they have went out of print mostly, but they are still floating around on several sites for right around what they sold at, which was that $19.99 US price point. And I do recommend them because they do have some of the classic stories in there. So like if you're like, I really want that Two-Face, those Two-Face origin stories, or that Two-Face 70s story, etc. A lot of them are gathered here. Mr. Freeze. I think they did. If you can think of a top 10 villain from Arkham, there was one. I think even Zaz had one, and so that means that the last Arkham, which is the first 4 issues of Shadow of the Bat, that means those 4 issues are probably in there. So if you were looking for a collection with those, because I think it's pretty hard to get the last Arkham collected anymore, but you definitely could get those. So I'd like to move on and talk about some 80s issues here. Some of those, I was going to pull out some single issues tonight, and I was like, I think I'll just stick with just some books I've got on my bookcase. So first up, I want to talk about a 2-issue arc. Grab the wrong book. Hold up. I want to talk about a 2-issue arc in this Legends of the Dark Knight. Now, if you watch my channel at all, I probably talked about Norm Brayfogle an unhealthy amount. But I just always loved the way he drew Batman and just Gotham in general. And I always liked his and Alan Grant's creations. I like that they would create new characters. And so, for instance, I want to point out these first 2 issues in this book. So they created Anarchy here. And so that's what these first 2 issues are about, is this character, Anarchy. And he's trying to bring some real change to Gotham in his own way. And with Grant and Brayfogle, you see a lot of, you see a lot more of the streets than you ever do, than I can ever recall seeing after. You see a lot more homeless, a lot more of the grime, the trash, the filth of Gotham. than I can recall ever seeing after. And you see a lot more of the everyday people, um, people's everyday lives and their situations. It makes Gotham a real place. And so this is a two-parter, and it's extremely important to me because it has this issue in it right here, 609. And this was my very first comic book I ever owned and also bought with my own money. So, probably told this story 500,000 times, so here's one more. I'll keep it brief. My uncle took me to see Batman 89 in the theater. It blew my mind. We left the theater. All I could think about was Batman. We went to Walden Books in the mall nearby. I had some spending money. I walked in. This was the Batman comic that was on the comic book spinner rack. I immediately grabbed it up for $1, and it started a chain of events that continue to this day. So I was just crazy about it. I'd been a He-Man, I was obviously into He-Man when I was a young kid from 3 and 4 and had all the action figures. And then I was into Star Wars as a young kid as well. But after Star Wars and He-Man were over at almost around the same time, like what, 80, Star Wars was all but done in 84, 85, as far as merchandising goes. And then He-Man, the movie was done in 87. So it was like just waiting for something to catch my eye, and man, did it. So those were the issues I wanted to talk about with this one. There are more great stories in this, but they're kind of going the 90s, so that might be something else I want to talk about later on. In this next book, this Caped Crusader, this has more Jim Aparo stuff in it. Great artist. I always knew I could count on Jim Aparo. He drew Batman a different way, but a way that I really liked. Everybody's probably familiar with this cover they put on it. This is not Jim Aparo. This is Todd McFarlane, who did this, who we all know now from, Spawn, Spider-Man, McFarlane Toys. He's kind of like our guy, but when he did this, he was just kind of getting into things. He was trying to get his foot in the door, and as far as I've always understood, there's debate on who this is on the front with him. But as far as I've always known, this is Vicki Vale. Her hair is a different shade right here. But at the time, if you think about who Batman, the female Batman was closest with at this time, it was Vicki Vale in the storylines. So I'm going to go to page 221 here. I would like to highlight that. And that story, well, first, let me talk about that story. Let's see if I can get to it here. Should be right around here. Yeah, so here's your original cover. You'll notice they colored her hair a little different on the cover. The original cover, her hair is red, and Vicki Vale's hair is red, despite Kim Basinger's being blonde in the movie. So Vicki Vale has been a redhead for quite some time in the comics. It's a September 88 issue. This one is more like everybody's interpretation of Batman around Gotham. They kind of did something similar in the 70s, I think. They did a single issue like that, like you should have seen them kind of thing. And it was like kids around a campfire telling their Batman story. But this is a different thing, but a similar type of thing. This is a policeman. He was trying to talk a guy off of jumping off a bridge. Batman saves this guy. They're talking about it in a diner. He's like, well, I was just in this convenience store. This is what I saw Batman do. And then this other policeman's like, well, there were these two little kids, and Batman saved them and found them a home, So These are all the different sides I saw of this guy. So it's a very similar story to that one in the 70s where the three kids are around the campfire with, I think Bruce Wayne is there with them, you know, taking, it's kind of like a, one of those deals where maybe their kids are orphans or they're from a group home or something like that. He's taking them out for some fun because they don't have much or whatever it is. But anyway, it's a good story. But the main ones I want to highlight are these two here towards the end. This is Jason Todd as Robin, the second Robin. Mainly people know him from A Death in the Family, which is a great story, great 4-issue arc, or as the Red Hood. However, he was starting to show a lot of signs of being temperamental, not following the rules, becoming being put into a hero's role a lot sooner than he probably should have. And this is kind of like the apex of that, or I guess maybe the precursor to A Death in the Family. These two issues, and they're just brilliant. And I think I've recommended them before in a Comic Quest video, and so these two I'm going to talk about are 424 and 425. They're like October and November of '88. So, and these are heavy books. This is like when DC Comics was putting like this little stamp on the front of their comics. It's like DC Comics aren't just for kids, and man, they were not. So Robin comes into this house. This guy's in here, tries to fight him, and which, I mean, he heard somebody yell help, but let's follow this. So he hears this screaming, and he breaks into a window. So, no, there's that. So this guy obviously is not going to be happy that this guy's just broke into his window. So that's a thing. And whether he knows who Robin is or not, is he going to be, he's probably going to want to fight him or call the police or whatever. But Robin's like, well, I heard somebody screaming, so I'm just going to fight this guy. It's, eh, we'll get back to that. But then another guy comes in to fight him. And now Batman's here and he's like, well, what's happening in here? Trying to figure it out. And Batman puts this guy through a wall. So this is just incredible right here. I guess he's okay because Batman's not known to kill people. And then Robin's like, I heard somebody screaming in the bedroom. And there's this lady in here. She's all beat up. And take her to the hospital. She says it's the second time he's done this. We had a date. The first time I didn't know what he was like. Did he report the attack? The police the first time? No. She was ashamed. She just wanted to forget it. And they're kind of looking into his background here. So she doesn't want to report anything. So she's kind of afraid of retaliation here. So they find out this guy is an ambassador from Bosatago, and this guy has diplomatic immunity, so they can't do anything to him anyway. So now she's scared because she thinks there's gonna be some retaliation. Robin can't let it go. He knows what this guy's done to her. He wants to put this guy away, and Batman's like, well, we just gotta wait for him to slip up because right now he's got diplomatic immunity. So Batman tries to help him. They follow him. They try to keep an eye on him. Robin doesn't like the waiting, as you can imagine. You know, they finally try to make their move because He's trying to buy some drugs. Well, Robin's got him. He won't resist. So he knows that Robin is trying to get him. And he knows that Robin is just trying to do what's right by this girl. So to ag Robin on, he goes and makes a phone call to her and says some stuff to her to just get Robin riled up. So guy leaves, doesn't get put in jail or anything. His lawyer gets him out. When Robin and Batman make it back to the apartment, she's no more. But like I said, this is heavy stuff. This is just a regular single issue of the book in '88. Robin is just distraught. Batman's trying to calm him down, but he's gone. Robin's took off. He finds this guy on the balcony. Guy's gone. Guy is screaming off the balcony. Robin catches up with him. I mean, Batman, it's not like Batman to be two steps behind anybody, but he is. And he says, Robin, did he fall or was he pushed? Robin says, I guess I spooked him. He slipped. And he just throws his bat rope, leaves. It's a crazy issue. But wait, there's more. Because, Robin and Bruce and Alfred, they're just having breakfast, and Batman gets some photos. Commissioner Gordon is in the photos. He's all tied up to a car in this next issue. And Bruce knows who it's from. He knows who it's from. It's all about everything that's just happened before. Now, Felipe, who just slipped off the balcony, now his dad, the diplomat, wants revenge. So, a lot of it's the backstory, in case you didn't read it. But now Batman knows he's got to go alone. Well, Robin's not going to go to school, is he? No, Robin's going to go along. He's going to go try to save Commissioner Gordon. It's one of those ones where, like when you're watching, like when you watch something like Predator, and Schwarzenegger's so good at just doing all these moves that just get through the nobodies who are just hanging around the jungle. It's like one of those deals. So like Batman's just slipping in. Oh, what do I got here? A car battery? Oh, I'll just throw that. And look, he's just throws his battery at this guy. He's down. And he's just like, this is the stuff that keeps you a fan. Like, this is the stuff that, like, I think of when I'm like, how do I want to see Batman on screen? If he's got 6 or 8 guys or whatever it is, I want to see him improvise. I always love in movies, and it doesn't have to be Batman, but I always love that in movies when I see people fight or have to get through something and they have to improvise. So I just love it. It's like he's got his utility belt. He's got it on, but he's like, well, I got a die-hard battery here. I'm just going to throw that at this guy. And he's just slipping through here. He just takes him through. I mean, it's just, 2 guys with Uzis. I'm just got to jump up. I love the improvisation. Now he's doing an old trick here. These guys are already spooked. So once that fear levels up, like in the games, now he's got them, right? But, I mean, he has to take out just gaggles of people, right? He used to use these things. You don't see them so much anymore. These like darts that would just knock people out with the bat melded into them. Yeah, in the end, Gordon is wounded a little, but Batman climbs these cars. This diplomat just keeps shooting at him, and then he winds up just knocking the cars down on himself. I love this shot. I love this. Hand in it with the Uzi, drops the Uzi, one more shot. Just obviously dead. For every action in this universe, there's an opposite and equal reaction. Consequences, Robin. There's no escaping them. He's showing them. Like a lot of books now, it's never, it's like, this is what was done. No, here's the next issue. Or we've got to have, everything has to have a huge arc. But it's, I always love this, how you might have one issue or you might have two issues. And the first issue was this story that happened, and the second issue was the consequence of that story. I think that's something that's lost a lot of the time on modern comics, that it would be nice to have a return to it. Even this, like, look here, just this panel of Gordon's like, what's he thinking here? I can't believe I'm alive. Here's a dead man. Batman's looking at just the carnage. He's got a gun in his hand. He just throws it down. I mean, everybody's just left with their own take on all the events that have just happened in, what, 15 minutes? And then it's on to something else eventually. But there's these moments, the consequences of the situation. I just think it's brilliant. I think Jim Starlin, a very good writer at the time. Very good. I was talking about on that Joker book, I wanted to get back to one more in that when it was the 80s. So it was a very early 80s issue. Dreadful Birthday, Dear Joker. So Joker invites everybody to his birthday. Everybody has a good laugh at the police station about that. But this is one, I believe, some sort of send-up was done of it on the animated series. This is a thing with the animated series, that they really did appreciate the classic comics. Now Joker goes around, he kidnaps Robin, Catwoman, Commissioner Gordon, Alfred. They become the candles on his cake. And yeah, this dude too, who I have no idea who he is. I guess you had to have those late 70s issues, which I do not. Tell me in the comments. It's a good tell me in the comments moment. Tell me in the comments if you know who this guy is. This guy right here. We know we got Robin, Gordon, Alfred, and dude right here. Who is he? Why is he on the birthday cake? But anyway, Batman has to come deal with this. And then he's the topper on the cake. He sends him blasting off. It's just a fun one. It's just silly, just classic silly nonsense. But I like him trying to escape on the speedboat at the end, and it's another Joker fake out death, which, maybe. But that was before they overused the Joker back in the day. He's a little overexposed right now. I kind of want to wrap up tonight with a book. I don't know how many of you have seen The Complete History Batman. So this right here is it's pretty good. It's got a lot of neat stuff in it. I'm going to skim through this. Let's see. It's got just a lot of great art in it. It's a great read as well. I like how they've got certain things blown up. I like this tug of war right here. So the beginning, the bat, the shadow, the spider, all of its influences, right? I love original classic Batman with the big curvy ears. All the monsters he fights. There was I think it was for the 75th anniversary, the Bruce Timm short where he fights Hugo Strange that they did for the 75th anniversary birthday. It was up on YouTube. I really like that video. I think the thunder is really giving this some ambience. Catwoman in her purple uniform, but with odd blonde hair right here. And Michelle Pfeiffer. Scarecrow. Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Why not? The Adventures of Alfred. You know, because that's interesting. Says TV execs. This is mid 50s, early to, mid 50s to mid 60s is our stories that are just so hard to read to me. Because it's always some scheme and some convoluted nonsense. I love the art, but the stories are just, I'm just checking out when I try to reread. When I was a kid, I could read any of it, but to try to reread it, it's just, ugh. Like, I mean, I love to look at that Joker. I mean, he's great looking, but just some of these, it's just silly. Like, I get like 3 pages in, I'm like, I don't even care how it turns out anymore. But I mean, the era of their time. You know, it's just we've moved on to more interesting ways to tell stories. Look at this playset. That would be fun. Poison Ivy, first appearance. That's a classic Riddler cover. Oh, the Bat grenade launcher. Yes. Another favorite of mine in the 70s creation was Man Bat. I believe he was created by Frank Robbins, but Neil Adams did a lot of Man Bat stories as far as the art. Creepy 70s style monster stories for Batman that worked. And again, Batman cartoons. This is just a awful Jason Todd costume there. Dark Knight Returns. I'd like to do a video about that at some point. Probably one of my favorite Batman movies is the animated Dark Knight Returns. Part 1 and 2, they were originally put out as part 1 and 2. I consider them one movie. It's just incredible how they were able to adapt that correctly. Year 1 is not bad either. I thought Bryan Cranston did a fantastic job as Commissioner Gordon. Look at that Joker. I have another book, I've done a video about it, that has a lot of these storyboards in it for Batman 89. The greatest. Love Batman Returns as well. Tim Drake, there's my Robin. So neat to see a character just come along. You see him be created as you're buying comics, and you just stick with him for years. It's really, really awesome. You feel like you just grow up with a character. Love these storyboards. Amazing figures. I had a lot of these. Still have some of them. Toy Biz Batman. Got a lot of action. Laser Batman. Got a lot of action. Definitely Arrow Strike. Gold Batman. Arctic Batman. Always had him pitted against Mr. Freeze, as you would. Bruce Wayne Batman, but not with that costume. That costume was pretty weak. But just Bruce Wayne on his own. It was a lot of fun. Let's see about any more of these. I remember this Night Quest Batman came out, and I was like, man, I want that, but I'm just not into figures right now. And then I just missed it for a while. Oh, this right here. If you can get hold of Batman Black and White, the trade graphic novel, you can get a hold of that. It's incredible. But just this story, I did not realize that this whole story was in here. But this is so good. It is a Bruce Timm story, and it is about basically Harvey Dent falling in love. I actually do not want to give this away. I'm actually just going to show a couple pages of it. But if you can find that on the DC app or anything, it's called Two of a Kind. It's such a good story. It'll take you maybe 5 minutes to read it, but it's worth it. Like if you get it on one of the apps, I'm going to skip over it because I don't want to ruin it for you. It's a good story. I'm sure most of these I've talked about. If you're any kind of a Batman fan for very long, you've read them or heard about them or something. But I bet that one's a gem you've missed out on, and I don't want to ruin that for you. Let that be a surprise. How about that? Alex Ross there. So, I think we'll end there with the Thunder and Batman. Hope you've enjoyed the stream tonight. I've had fun going back and looking at some of these books and reminding myself of why this is such a great character. And I mean, there's no doubt why he's so beloved by millions of people. And I hope you have a great night and a great holiday weekend.